What's up, y'all? It's Shuffle here today on Dead by Daylight, checking out the Rift Pass Darkest Dungeon collaboration dealio to go through it and just point out all the references and have fun with it because, you know me, the Darkest Dungeon expert. But here today also we have a special guest, my friend and channel editor, the DBD expert, Ranger. What's up, dude?
Yo.
Sorry. But yeah, so he knows DBD. I just installed DBD today, and so we're going to go through the Rift Pass here, which I bought it because I'm going to end up playing this. But yeah, so we're going to go through it and just talk about the references, because some of them are outright, you know what they are. Like this first one is the Collector. There's no doubt about that. However, some of the things in this pass also are still Darkest Dungeon, but they don't directly say they're Darkest Dungeon, which is kind of interesting. So we're going to go through all that, break it down, and talk about the implications. So the first one is obviously on the premium side. We have the Collector as Nurse, and so you get the whole outfit, and I have it on screen right now. So Collector normally doesn't have legs, but they're trying to make it obviously fit on the model. It is a skin, it's not the actual character, so it's still going to play like Nurse. But otherwise, just looking at it from how it is, Collector doesn't have a weapon normally, but the coat is perfect. The coat is definitely Collector, and the weapon is, like I said, just the character that it's based on. And then Collector doesn't have legs, although it looks like he has toe rings here at the bottom. And otherwise, the skin itself, like it's got the flesh, it's all like stretched out, and it's got skulls in it. This is how Collector's supposed to look. And at the very top, they got the little cage for his head.
Essentially, with the Collector skin, since it is a skin for the Nurse, they had to give her a bone saw because that is what she uses as a weapon in pretty much all of her other skins. That's why it's here. One thing that surprised me the most about all these skins is that none of them are actually sets. A set, right, for those that don't know, in Dead by Daylight is like, it has like a little chain in the top left indicating that you can't mix and match it with other things. But none of the skins from the Darkest Dungeon collection are that. So you can take the head or take the coat, take the bone saw or whatever, and you can mix it with any other skin that is also not a set. And since there's, at the very end of the Rift, there's like Recolors. If you don't like the yellow coat for whatever reason, you can switch it for like the dark blue one or the red one. But we'll get to that afterwards, obviously, once we get to the end.
I think it's pretty cool that you can mix and match, because I'm assuming all these are just tied to Nurse, right? So you can't put like the Collector head on, I don't know, someone else, like Myers, right? You just have to have it on Nurse.
Yeah, it's specifically for the Nurse. It'll only fit on her.
I don't know if there's any fashion ability that you're able to do, because that is the true end game in any video game. It's the fashion aspect. Feel free to disagree, but you know. But moving on with the second level here, the little Collector. What does the community call them? Do they call them Funko Pops? Because that's what I want to say they are.
They essentially are. In the game, they're referred to as figurines, but it's basically just Funko Pops. All of the figurine things look just like this. Tiny body with a big head. The Vecna figurine has this. The Kate figurine has it. These Arena figurine has it. All of them have it.
That's pretty cute. So what do you do with the figurines? Do you put them on the hooks? Is that where they go?
Yes. Previously, like a couple of years ago, they were separated between Killer Charms and Survivor Charms. But in one update, they just merged them together so you can wear whatever charm on Killer and Survivor side. So for Survivors, this would go on like their pocket, and for the Killer, this goes on their hooks.
That's pretty cool. I like that. That's a good change, because I understand on the one hand wanting to keep it separated by, playstyle, but I think this gives something to people that just enjoy the game, where it's like, I want to play Killer sometimes and my friends log on, I want to do Survivor, and then you can just mix and match. The level 3 for the premium just gives you cells, which is the in-game currency to pay for this. The free version, you get the Blasphemous Idol. This is from Darkest Dungeon 2. This is an item that you can use at the inn, and it gives you something like chance of bonus speed, chance of crit on turn start, or chance of, I want to say, strength. It's been a minute.
Honestly, I think the model looks really cool. Even like, it's super simple, obviously, but they basically nailed it how I imagined that it would look in a 3D space, along with how you mentioned it. The head legit looks like a cultist brawler from the first game.
What Ranger's been telling me for I don't know, a couple years now is that usually with DBD, the art team just kills it, kind of like Red Hook. The art team always knocks it out of the park. And we're seeing that here too, because there's just little details. Like, obviously this thing shouldn't be totally smooth. It's got some wear on it. It's got chips. The eyes actually look alive, and it just looks really cool. It looks like it should do in a 3D space. So next we have on level 4 for the premium, we have David King with the Persuasive Pugilist outfit, which is Highwayman from Darkest Dungeon. And like you said before, this is not linked together, so you can wear each one of these individually. So I guess what are your thoughts on that, and what can we tell the Darkest Dungeon people about David King that may not know?
So as far as I know, David King is he was kind of like, before he entered the fog, which basically just means before he got taken into the entity's realm here, he was kind of a dude that would just kind of go around bars and get into fights very often. Kind of a perfect fit for him, honestly. Yeah. Along with the highwayman. Highwayman is also a person that just kind of goes around, gets his hands dirty for a quick buck.
Yeah.
And even in the description on the bandana, you'll notice that it just says, a bleeding fist, broken nose, a job well done. It honestly fits both David and the highwayman pretty damn well.
It does, yeah, because he's a rough character.
And if you ask me, like, it's literally just perfect. Like, it looks completely identical to the highwayman from the series.
It does, like, right down to the haircut. I don't know if David normally has that haircut, but like, I think so, because if you take the whole thing off, his hair is very close to it. But when you preview the outfit, he slicks the hair a little bit, which is what Dismas looks like in DD1. That's the Highwayman, and DD2, obviously. Highwayman does use his actual fists in his background story, but you know, later on when he's got all of his stuff and he's not in prison, he can use his, you know, knife and gun too. So the second one says no limits. It says he fought with unrestrained brutality and told himself that the ones he harmed deserve it. That, I don't know if that goes for David, but it could also go for Highwayman.
Yeah, I think it's mostly applied to David in this kind of AU of his.
Yeah, AU's a good term for that, yeah. Alternate universe. The last one, the boots, the redemption arc, this is definitely for Dismas though, because specifically in Darkest Dungeon 2, there's a lot of redemption that the heroes are experiencing. The main character's experiencing redemption, the heroes are going through redemption tales, redemption arcs, and so I think that name just fits perfectly. It says, the road to redemption is lined with hardship, yet in its traversal, one may find relief from the greatest burden. Some of these I cannot help but read in Wayne's voice inside my head. Yet Collector and then Highwayman. What does that tell you about Chris and Red Hook in general?
It should tell you all you need to know, really.
True. Okay, on the free side though, you know, we went up to 8 for the paid, but on the free side we have, at 5, we have Des Dorman. This is a skin for the Knights, and Ranger, I know you noticed this almost immediately. So what can you tell me about it?
Yeah, so when I was looking at this, I noticed that the horns on top of the helmet were wooden. And this is really unusual for any Knight cosmetic, because pretty much every single cosmetic for the Knight is just, unless you count the leather rift one from a couple of years ago. Actually, no, a couple of months ago, excuse me. Everything that he wears is just metal or bone or some kind of hard material. And it really surprised me to see like wooden horns on top of the helmet. But then I looked deeper into it and I noticed like these yellow stripes on his armor, especially on the left shoulder, and like this little almost overgrowth looking little fuzzy coat that this is a reskin of a skin that he actually has. And this fur that he has on his right shoulder is usually just a black fur coat. But here it's like, it almost looks like moss or something growing on him. And if you look at page 3 and 19, you'll notice that the sword is actually called On Guard. Oh. And that alone should tell you that this outfit is just a complete, essentially just a replica of the Tangle Knights from Darkest Dungeon 2.
Yeah, you know, that's noticing something like the names of each piece is pretty cool, because the Knights that you're talking about in DD2, one of their iconic moves is called On Guard, where they take a defensive kind of posture and they riposte you. So if you attack them, they punch you back. Usually very hard. So part of the mechanic, because this is kind of like this is a tougher enemy. Like, it's a larger enemy. We call them size 2s because they take up 2 out of 4 spaces. They're just bigger. they're stronger, and so it takes a lot longer to take one of these down normally. And so with the knights and having unguard, the hard part of the fight is you have to find a way to disarm this defensive mechanic without getting your party beat to death by it at the same time. So I like that they named the sword after that, because I think that's very, very fitting. I'm gonna read the descriptions too, because I'm previewing the whole thing right now. It says, when the blade is drawn, there's no time for words. There are other ways to express eloquence. That is true. And then for the the armor, it's called Duelist Curse. That's interesting. He cherished every swing, every cleave, every riposte, yet in what remained in his heart, he longed to duel a worthy foe. Is this Darkest Dungeon lore right now? Like, yeah, I'll be undead and fight these dudes, but, you know, maybe I want to fight some good people. Oh, and look at the helmet, too. A fearsome terror on the battlefield. He has ushered countless through death's door. He has. This thing kills a lot of people because it can be kind of a jerk. And then we jump to page 2 at number 10. You get Guard Dog. This is Houndmaster. It doesn't say Houndmaster, but you preview the whole outfit. This is what he looks like, sort of in-game. The coat's a little more detailed, but the hair and the headband are a big giveaway.
The only thing that I can really mention is that the coat kind of looks like the Ancestor coat rather than the Houndmaster coat, but...
It does, you're right. Yeah, I didn't notice that. I was like, maybe they just spruced it up, but it could be closer to something like the Ancestor coat, because he's got the little fur collar, but... I'm glad that they put in more skins than it seemed like at first, because when I remember seeing the trailer for this Rifts and the collaborations and stuff, it's like, okay, you get 4 Darkest Dungeon heroes and like 2 killers. That's really cool, but no, there's actually a ton of extra stuff, like Houndmaster. Oh, Dinner Cart. Oh, it's a charm? That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Dinner Cart's an enemy in Darkest Dungeon 2. It looks like this, but not quite. In DD2, the guy hauling the dinner cart, it's actually... The cart's there to hold his stomach, which, like, mutated into another creature. So he's holding the second half of him in the cart, but it does look like just corpses, and the dude eats flesh all the time, so... It's fitting, but otherwise, I think this looks really nice. Alright, the next one, Shrieker. Shrieker Chick is a pet in DD2, but Shrieker itself is a boss in DD1. It's the giant grown-up version of this, and this pet in DD2 is pretty cool. You get bonus crit chance, and you have a chance of finding more currency. They're called baubles, but you have a chance of finding more currency while you're driving around, so...
I think it's adorable. And hilariously, somehow they made him more cute in the figurine version than he is even in DD2.
I know, right? Maybe it's the 3D aspect. He's like kind of chubby. I have to ask though, because I'm assuming you have most, if not all of this unlocked, is this charm on your hook?
It is on Artist. Okay. That's a killer that uses birds as attacks, so yes.
Alright, that's perfect. I like that. Thematic. We always like that word in the DD community. And then at 14, you get a really sick-ass collector sticker. Almost looks like he has hair and a headband instead of just like a flaming skull, but what makes Collector kind of scary is, at least in the first game, Collector looks more like there's nothing in the head, like head empty, so it's just kind of mindless. But in DD2, it looks sinister, like it's really calculating. I think this sticker kind of goes more in that direction. It looks more like I don't know, like an evil mastermind, so to speak.
Some Nurse mains would definitely agree with you that Nurse is the hardest killer in the game, although she's not. So, yeah, it would make sense.
At 20, you get the Hellion figurine, which also looks really cute. This is one of her iconic poses. She uses this for Adrenaline Rush, I think?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. All right, 22, you get the Hamlet. So what... Oh, this is like a really nice version. This is, I mean, it's nice in game, obviously, but the lighting on this, it looks more three-dimensional, but it tries to pretend it's two-dimensional, if that makes sense.
Like 2.5D in a way.
Yeah. It looks really, really good. Like, whoever did the environment detail in this, like, the lighting just does all of this right here. It looks super, super good. It's only like a part of the Hamlet. Because where it cuts off like this, and that little swish, there's more under it. There's, this is the guild hall, I think, on the right side, but there's the blacksmith, there's the nomad wagon, there's the bottom half of the statue, and under this left building, this is the tavern, I believe. Yeah, it's the tavern. And then under that is the stagecoach, and then if you go left, there's a few more things. So some of the details cut off, but what do you specifically use this graphic for, Ranger? Like, where does this go in your profile?
You might notice that, like, in the top right, you probably have like an empty square, but you can click that and it goes to player profile, and then under the player stats button, there's customize badge and customize banner. And the badges, that is basically where the collector sticker would go. So you can pick that as like, whatever character you want. There's a ton of these.
Yeah.
Some of them come from the Rift, some of them are FOMO, because this is DBD after all, so FOMO is required. But this would be a banner. So essentially it's just a little graphic that you put behind your badge to showcase, your affiliation with something. If you really, prefer a certain game series or a certain character, you can, flash that with this.
Right here in the Rift Pass menu, because I have access to the badge and my own stats and the currencies and all that, would the banner go behind this, or is it only when I click into my profile?
Your badge and the banner show up in two places. They show up here when you're equipping them, obviously in the lobby.
Right.
And they show up at the end of a match, where each player has like their name, their stats, and stuff like that. That's where your banner and badge would show up.
That's right, because I watch Ranger and Aughts and stuff play a ton of DBDs, so that's right. It is that little banner right at the end when it has the stats. Usually I'm too distracted by Ranger being a nice guy and saying GG, and then someone else going fuck off tunneler. But yeah, that's what it's for. So that looks really good though. All right. Just to defend Ranger, he's no tunneler, but also I think some of y'all, that's another video. Some of y'all just take it too seriously. But okay, who's this other dude? Felix Richter is next with Debonair Days.
Yeah. So this outfit, I honestly have no clue who this is supposed to be.
Yeah, someone before we start, right before we started recording, someone said this looks like Crusader, and I mean, obviously he doesn't have the chest armor, but like these pants, these are definitely kind of like a knightly. I don't think they're Gambeson. They might be Gambeson. I can't remember what the name of it is, but it is like a knightly padded set of pants. This is usually worn as light armor, or it's worn under armor, because a lot of like old medieval combat armor was more in layers. It wasn't just like you wore one suit and you had your underwear under it. It's like you had lots of layers. And so this is something you'd wear like near the bottom, like closest to your skin.
One character that did come to mind a little bit was also Man-at-Arms.
Yeah.
But like the only reason I even think this is because like if you read the description of the headpiece and then the body and such, it says patchwork plan, like on the pants, right?
Yeah.
Obviously it's because it has like an actual patchwork on it, but even the most meticulous planner may find themselves in a situation where improvisation is the only option. And then you have the other ones, which is like battle scars on the torso,
right? And
then nothing beats a solid plan at the end of the headpiece. So that kind of gave me Man-at-Arms vibe, but
right. No, you're right. You're right, because the pants could kind of be Man-at-Arms-ish, but the when I hear something days, it kind of feels like in the past, like part of your life. And Man-at-Arms in the game is really old. He's like a war veteran. He's got a lot of experience, but when he was younger, like his personal backstory, without spoiling everything, is he was a very unprepared sergeant. And that's where all the trouble came in. So he also looked good. He was very dashing. So that's kind of where I get the Debonair vibes, especially with his helmet off. 24 with Plague Doctor. This is one of the ones they were really trying to push in the trailer. And I didn't realize the bottles would have physics. The bottles have jiggle physics. They even went to like the very small details. The black outfit that she has, like the black and green, this is actually her primary outfit in DD1. In DD1, they have up to 4 color palettes baseline. This is palette 1 for Plague Doctor. It's black with the green. And everything right down to the leather and the spikes, which Not quite sure why she has spikes, but I guess it's just tough times. The only complaint that I have seen is that she doesn't have what we call the gremlin pose from DD2, because in DD2, for some reason, Plague Doctor, when she fights, she's like hunched over 90 degrees the whole time, and just looks like she's in the middle of trying to pick up stuff from the battlefield, but then also fight.
It has to hurt her back, like after doing that for several hours.
Oh yeah.
Also, if you spin her around and look at the back piece of the cloth, like on her hood, it also has jiggle physics and it's really cute.
Before we look at some other stuff too, I'm gonna go back to the free side on 27. I didn't realize you got the collector heads. I guess it's technically 3D, but it's not an actual like 3D image. It's just like a wide picture. Let's see, at 28, you get a Hellion sticker. No, it's a Hellion banner. That's pretty cool.
My question is, what the hell was the player doing bringing Hellion to the ruins?
I know, it's like, there's a bunch of prot and they don't bleed. Why are you taking Hellion to the ruins? It's for the double stun and the Iron Swan, of course. Yeah, more...
Maybe they're running Pain Train.
True. Shoutouts to Don't Panic, the ancient DD historian meme guy. Next, Afflicted Plague Doctor on 30. You have to pay for this one, but this is very iconic. A lot of people, when you see memes about Darkest Dungeon afflictions, it's Plague Doctor. All right, and so in 31, on the free side, you get the Ruins. This is one of the Darkest Dungeon 1 dungeon areas. 34, Premium. This is one that we were talking about before we started recording. I'm talking about like maybe an hour before we went on air, so to speak. We were trying to figure this one out. So this is for the Twins Killer. At first, the only thing I could really tell was the middle piece, the blood out one, where it says pain inflicted shall be returned tenfold. One must do what one must to survive. But the whole outfit, if you look at the bottom, this is the flagellant robe from Darkest Dungeon 2, not 1. Because these are the colors. It's got the kind of blue, it's got the yellow sash, it's ripped up beyond almost all recognition, and even this little detail right here at the bottom where the underpart has a little square embroidery or stitching on the edge of the cloth. This is very much flagellant, but the rest of it, we were trying to figure out what it was, and Ranger actually figured that out. So I'm going to let you take this one.
Yeah, so from what I saw, and what makes the most sense to me, is that this feels like a merger of Flagellant from Darkest Dungeon 2 and Death from Darkest Dungeon 2. And the reason I say that is because if you look at the headpiece, which is just blood in, you'll notice that it changes her face to have like essentially like a skeleton stitching on the front, right?
Yep.
Very akin to the Flagellant in DD2. He's basically just a rotting corpse. But another thing that's important to notice is that in the full outfit, the twins' right hand, or Charlotte's right hand rather, has a green coloring, very much the same as Flagellant 2.
Right.
But the most interesting thing is the fact that this scythe that she uses, or sickle I suppose, like it looks like it's a merger of an actual weapon and a head, which looks pretty much the exact same as the scythe that Death actually uses against the Flagellant. And she also has a tombstone on her back that she carries, and the Death fight includes 2 tombstones that she kind of dances around, or she just sits in rank 4 and spams the scythe and you just die.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite. You got your leper, Death sits in rank 4, no one can hit her except for like Vestal. And she just sits there and camps. But yeah, no, I thought, yeah, when you found that out, I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense, because the rope part at the bottom isn't that hard to figure out if you know Darkest Dungeon. But the rest of it was like, what is kind of happening here? Especially the weapon. Like, no one could figure out the weapon until, at least, you know, that I talked to, until Ranger mentioned it and said it looks like Death's scythe. And it's like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. And then everything kind of connects after that, because you look and it's both characters, because that's Flagellant's story. And the green on the hand could also represent the Blights that Flagellant has power over in the second game. He's no longer Bleed, he's a Blight-focused character. So get to try the twins as well, get all the Darkest Dungeon stuff.
Please don't try the twins. I beg you, do not try the twins. Please.
Do not? Okay. I mean, I gotta try every skin though. I gotta fashion on the kids, you know? as I'm getting, as all 4 survivors get away and I get like 2 hooks the entire match. That's I have to rep. Okay, so the next charm on 35 is Hell's Hairpin. This is a Hellion trinket from Darkest Dungeon 1, and this is a trinket that gives you a ton of, I want to say accuracy and crit, but only if you have low torchlight, which is one of the mechanics in that game when you're exploring. And so this is a trinket that essentially does nothing until the lights are out. Then it turns on, but it's like really powerful once it does so.
Borderline useless in most playthroughs, absolutely godlike in torchless runs.
Yeah, pretty much. This is something, it's like, you never put on the torchless trinkets because there's several of these. And it's not, in case the light goes out, maybe I'll get a bonus. It's like, you have to make a conscious decision to do low light or no light playthroughs, because otherwise you're just wasting a trinket slot. However, some of these trinkets, like the Hell's Hairpin, are insanely powerful when they do activate, so... Alright, this next one on 36, this is the Shambler. This is something everyone was kind of hoping for, because when Behavior bought Red Hook in, I want to say 2024, one of the speculations people had was, okay, well, if we get Darkest Dungeon in DVD, what can we hope for? And when people theorized the killers, the community said 2 things. They said Collector, and then they said Shambler, which is, I would say, the most iconic monster from both games, just because it really encapsulates the cosmic horror aspect. And this thing is so dangerous and tough that most of the time when you see it, especially if you're new to the game and you don't know it that well, this thing will kill you. Going down to 39 on the free side, we have the Wield as a background. So the Wield is one of the areas you can go to in Darkest Dungeon 1 to do missions in. Although this tree on the left, or in the middle, with the yellow mushrooms, kind of looks like a creature den from Darkest Dungeon 2. The node is you go in there and you fight weird monstrous creatures like giant spiders and dogs, and it's kind of positioned like this. The tree's kind of like tilted and there's a big base with a cave, so I don't know if that was intentional for this and they got that idea, but...
It honestly almost looks like the wheel that the player goes through during the Old Road introduction.
Yeah, the opening scene, that's right, because the Old Road is kind of based in the wheel, or at least it looks like it, so yeah, I could totally see that. This one here for Nia, it says lead by example. We're thinking this is actually Runaway from DD2, but just more colorful. Just because the hair matches, the scarf, it's a big poofy scarf. Runaway kind of wears like a cloak with a big neck section. And the pants for Runaway do have patches on them, but they're not this colorful. So this is kind of like a colorful version of it, but with the description says to be selfless in the face of danger is the most desirable quality one can possess. And that's one of the themes in DD2, is these heroes are being a little more selfless, even though they had some selfish parts in some of their backstories, but they're doing what they can to save people.
Nia, the most simple explanation I give her is like, she used to spray paint a lot, and she was very rebellious. She also graced us with Balance Landing, a capstone in a lot of builds as a perk. Some people, including my friends, would say, oh, it's useless on a lot of maps. It's not. You just have to know how to use it.
Right.
But what gets me the most is probably her body piece description, and it says, one's fondest memories are a guiding light in the face of darkness. Suffice it to say, her path was illuminated. Now, I don't know if that's like a pun. Is it to say that her path was illuminated by, burning something? Or if it's just her remembering those days and having hope for those new days?
On the free side, there's this one for Jane Romero, and it's called Runway Ready. They had a typo in one of the pics that said Runaway Ready, and it was completely screwing my head for like 2 weeks. So I was like, this looks nothing like Runaway. Like Runway, yeah, like if she's on the runway showing it off, I can understand, but this does not look anything like Runaway.
Yeah, so this is actually a community voted skin that was suggested by the community, and it got in here. If I were to go to the outfit page on the actual store, it would tell the designer's name. Don't remember the name right now. And you can see at the bottom it says Collection Community. It doesn't say Collection Darkest Dungeon. So this was placed in the Rift just to essentially keep up that pipeline of community skins, slowly getting implemented into the game, because they have a pretty big backlog still of community skins that are not in the game yet.
All right, so next one we have for the free side of 45 is Laudanum. Laudanum is an item in both Darkest Dungeon games, and this relieves stress on the character. And I think the description, it says something to ease the pain, though it's best not to overindulge, and that's because laudanum, to my understanding, is liquid opium.
Fun fact, laudanum used to be an over-the-counter drug for a really long time.
All right, this next one says community for the dog. It's failed hunt. This looks like a meme picture, but what can you tell us about it?
That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And if you read the description, it says Snug watching his prey get away. Snug is the dog that belongs to the houndmaster killer.
That's so fun. Watching his prey get away, failed hunt, cooked, it's all there. It all matches. It's amazing.
And you'll be watching this a lot more because houndmaster is like the buggiest killer in the game along with the twins, so have fun with that.
Yeah. All right. Next coming up here on the paid side is the other big killer skin that they advertise, and that's for Blight. And this one is called Visions of Darkness, or at least this piece is. Yeah, the whole thing's called Prophet's Sight. So Prophet's a boss from Darkest Dungeon 1, but before I guess we get into it, is there anything you want to say about the killer or the Prophet itself, if you happen to remember anything?
Honestly, until I started looking into it, like, the Prophet is actually a perfect match for the Blight, especially regarding his story. At first, what he did was he designed a boosting serum, essentially a drug, for like the working class. He made it so that it would increase their like endurance, their strength, and it actually worked, but it had a unfortunate side effect that he didn't know about until it was too late, which is that the Blight, or Talbot Grimes as he was called in life, he didn't really argue. He just kind of accepted the beating that the village took out on him because he didn't have an argument. Like, he didn't know that it was killing people. He just assumed that it worked just fine. But after that, he became fascinated with studying different dimensions and different worlds. Like, in the lore, he essentially annoys the entity into letting him into this realm.
Annoys?
Because he researches it constantly, and he tries getting in here. And the entity at one point just says, okay, you know what, fuck you, get in here. And when he does this, he becomes encapsulated by the fog, and he starts writing what he thinks is his research on, like, the walls using a rock. And then once he runs out of space on the wall, he starts writing it on his body. Then once he finally gets taken fully, what he wrote on the wall was just, death is just the beginning, over and over again.
Oh no, that's a cool twist. When you fight the Prophet in DD1, because it's not in 2, but I've got some theories. Maybe they're bringing it back to 2, because in the trailer they said the Prophet was from DD2, not DD1, but I think that was just a mistake on whoever did the editing. Not trying to call them out, but the Prophet spits blight at you, it stuns you, and then its most famous main mechanic to try and kill you is it marks a location where your heroes are standing, and it says at the end of this turn, because he can prophesize it, says there's going to be your death like on this space. So whoever's standing there at the end of the turn gets hit by a giant chunk of like church ceiling rubble and takes a ton of damage. So the whole thing in that fight is trying to mitigate that damage that you're taking and not get picked off by a stun or poison, essentially. When you fight the Prophet, he doesn't have his eyes. Like, he gouged them out. That's part of his story in DD1, because he saw too much of the things like a human shouldn't see, if you want to go into like the lorecraft style of explaining stuff, right? Just things beyond human comprehension. He shouldn't have seen them. And so he ripped his eyes out. The Ancestor tried to get rid of this dude so many times because he wanted him to stop spreading, panic and hashtag fake news in the hamlets. So everything here is representative of that. Got the stockades where he was imprisoned, but the back too, like, this may look just cool to most people, but part of the Prophet's story is that the Ancestor tried to actually kill him several times, but he would keep returning no matter what he did. So each one of these knives in his back was like an attempt at killing him alongside anything else he did. So it's always like a really cool detail, because that's from the first game on the Prophet himself, but they also brought it back here. I guess, should we look at the individual pieces here? So the whole thing's called Prophet's Sight. Prophet rips his eyes out. Visions of Darkness, that's mostly why he rips his eyes out. And it says, for the first one, they called him mad, turned their ire upon him. They always feared what they could not understand. That was also what the Prophet was doing. He's like, there's some weird crazy crap out there that we shouldn't, be able to see, but, it's coming to kill us. And in the second part, it's called Beyond the Veil because he looks beyond the veil to see it. There are other worlds beyond the veil. Those willing to extend their hand shall be rewarded beyond measure. And that's kind of what the cultists are doing in DD1. But I think this kind of has a double meaning in DBD, where the Blight himself, as you were telling me, was like looking beyond his own world to where the fog and the entity are. I don't know if that makes sense to you, but that's kind of how I'm reading this.
If you recall the narration for the third Darkest Dungeon quest, Vayne specifically says that the creature is vast beyond measure.
Right, yeah. Ooh, good throwback. I forgot about that one, yeah. This last one, Ambition's Grip. This is kind of a DD2 tie-in because one of the chapters, the 4 chapters called Ambition, and Grip is very thematic with that whole thing. So people who play DD2 and beat Ambition know exactly what I'm talking about. The description here says, can you feel it stirring from within? Such ambition, such mercy, such cruelty, such unspeakable power. Which is pretty much what people are doing in both games. Like they have too much ambition and they're reaching for powers that no human should have. The next charm here is the Candle. This is a DD1 trinket you get from Shambler, but I like that it's got fire. I didn't think the fire was animated.
You missed one.
I did miss one. What'd I miss? Oh, you're right, the leper. So there's the leper picture. Leper doesn't have a beard normally, but I think the character he's on top of has a beard. But same thing, really good looking affliction sprite. This is how he looks in... Actually, no. They didn't do the full DD1 affliction sprite. He rips his mask off in DD1. So that's why his hands open like that. It's supposed to be holding the mask in the other hand. We start at 57 with the Periwinkle, the Jester outfit. And this is on Wraith. So what can you tell me about Wraith?
Wraith in life was essentially a child soldier in a sense, and after he became an adult, he was working at Autohaven Wreckers, which is a realm and a set of maps in DBD, where he was obviously crushing cars. What he didn't know was that his boss was actually using him in the job to crush people that were in those cars, to dispose of them for I'm not sure why. That was it's explained in the story, I believe. All you need to know is that there were people in those cars. So what he did was he ripped out his boss's spine along with his skull, and that's actually what he uses as the weapon as his default. And I believe after he killed his boss, he was taken into the entity's realm.
Like a reward. Hey, good job. You killed that dude. Come here.
The entity actually mocks him by giving him the bell, because in his story, he needed to ring the bell to alert his village of danger or an attack, and he didn't do it. So now he rings the bell whenever he cloaks and uncloaks during the actual gameplay.
Oh, I guess that's thematic. It's also, I know it's also for a balance purpose. If someone cloaks or turns invisible, you need to freaking know as the player. You need some kind of info. This is another thing of interesting timing, because the costume is a community costume. It says community on there. But in both Darkest Dungeon games, Jester has a purple outfit. So there's a character called Jester, his canon name is Sarmenti, but this looks like a twisted version of him. So it just kind of double dips unintentionally on this character. And I think that's pretty cool, but yeah, since there's no official tie-in, it's just the Wraith, like Ranger was talking about, and it's a community skin, but that's all I got to say about it. It's interesting timing that they overlap. So next one, they put this on kind of a small guy, Vittorio. I feel like when I watch you play, a lot of people play this Survivor, if I'm not mistaken, but the whole outfit, this looks really good. In-game as an outfit, this looks so sick for leper. In terms of the aesthetics, because Darkest Dungeon is more graphic novel style, a little bit, heavy dark lines all over the place, striking poses and all that. And if you wanted to translate this into a more normal looking space, in DBD, there's a little more realism in terms of what things look like, because that kind of enhances the horror. This leper looks like it fits. Kind of looks like the same leather they use for Plague Doctor, the studded leather, but the whole outfit looks sick. My only complaint is that they didn't make this guy that is playing leper, they didn't make him taller. Like, obviously there's some gameplay things that happen, like being able to be seen over higher stuff or whatever, so I understand that. But leper is like 7'69" in Darkest Dungeon. He's massive as a human. No massive sword, because the survivors don't get weapons like that, I assume, but
Unless you count Decisive Strike. Or, excuse me, Will to Live, as it's called now.
so with the outfit, it says, a need courses through his bloodstream, a need to discover endless worlds and the secrets held therein. I'm assuming that is more for Vittorio, would you say? Am I correct or incorrect in this assumption?
Essentially, yeah. Vittorio in the lore used to hire the Knight Killer, essentially as like a mercenary, as a bodyguard. In one of the dungeons, they discover a tablet. And Vittorio believes that this tablet holds the secret to enter like paradise, and eventually gets betrayed by the knight because Vittorio, keeps wanting to do everything like a pacifist way or like talking it out, while the knight just finds the easiest path, least resistance, just kill them, go through. These two kind of clash, and eventually the knight just says, you know what, fuck you, and locks him up in a cellar, where Vittorio is stuck with that tablet and is just looking at it and studying it constantly. In a sense, Vittorio discovers another world, but he didn't discover paradise as he thought. He instead discovered the entity's realm. Whether he was dragged there by the entity or whether he entered it willingly, I don't think that's fully revealed.
The more you keep talking about the entity and people getting, isekai'd essentially into this realm, I mean, that's kind of got some Darkest Dungeon vibes as well, just because I don't know how much of DBD has like a Lovecraftian aura, but that's like the backdrop of Darkest Dungeon is HP Lovecraft, Cthulhu mythos influence. And Chris used a term that I thought was really cute. He called the heroes like gothically emo. So it's kind of a bit of that too. The major threats in both games, without spoiling everything, kind of distort reality in a way. So hearing that the entity, kind of has their own world, and then, Darkest Dungeon, these obviously aren't intentional to match up, but it's just interesting they do. Okay, so the next one's Secret Sickness. I think Leper tried to hide it at first, so this kind of sounds right. Long as he wandered, driven by singular purpose, even when gripped by feverish exhaustion, his quest goes unabated. And the last one, the name is really interesting. So Solemn Reflection, these are two different names of leper abilities in both games. He has Solemnity, which is like a self-heal, where he heals a bunch of HP and lowers his stress. And then there's Reflection, which in the first game was a camp skill, and in the second game is an ability. And the description says, does he still recognize the man he has become when he catches a glimpse of his reflection? Probably can't see his reflection that well, like, to be quite honest, but I mean, overall, the leper looks fantastic. So I'm going to move on to the free side here. We have the Noisemaker. This is an item from DD1 or 2, not 1. But in Darkest Dungeon 2, where this item comes from, this gives you taunts on your character and then blocks. So this is an item you throw. You use it on your turn, and it gives you the ability to taunt, but then also block with it. And this also has kind of a historic thing in Darkest Dungeon 2, because there was a point in time, this was like one of the strongest, most desirable items because of how certain bosses, mainly the Act 3 boss, operated. All right, so 62, the Collector. Oh, this one's animated! The banner, that's sick. But yeah, he summons the skulls of dead heroes, and in both games it's been Man-at-Arms, Highwayman, and Vestal. So this is what makes Collector pretty scary, is every time you fight him, it's not him by himself. He summons a whole party. He gives himself a tank, a damage dealer, and a healer. He summons the Trinity. Okay, and then we go to page 9, and that's like the end of the pass. What's on the rest? Okay, the Recolors. Okay, well, I guess we'll have to go there later, and I'm gonna look at this free side with the Cove. I like the Cove is a really cool zone from DD1. But yeah, what do you think about this background, I guess, in terms of the whole package?
It's honestly kind of, I don't want to say boring. It's rude to just say boring, but if you didn't tell me this was the Cove from DD1, I would just assume it's like some sort of fucking cave.
That's true. And it's still, I like that they included the Cove, but with this banner, it's just a little too gray and dark. and that's normally okay. But with Darkest Dungeon, the Cove is like one of the few places that has a bit of color. Like the underlying layer is mostly gray, like gray stone and wet bluish floors, but a lot of the sea structures that grow, whatever is growing in the Cove in Darkest Dungeon 1, they take more of a purple color. So the Cove in that game is one of the more colorful regions because you're getting like deep blues, kind of bright purples, and then you have like gray and orange here and there. So you get the Cove for free near the end, and then trained for battle, Meg Thomas. Before we get into Hellion, what can you tell me about Meg?
She was a sprinter, and a really good one. And she gave us arguably the strongest survivor perk in the game, Sprint Burst. You know, it's another exhaustion perk, same with Balanced Landing with Nia.
You know, it's kind of funny that this is, I guess, Meg that gets this, because part of Hellion's backstory is that she was a very, very young warrior. She wanted to fight and like prove herself. And this is like right at the beginning of her story, but she ends up running away, like just cowardice. So I think it's, I don't think this was intended, maybe it was, but it's kind of funny that they gave the sprinter the character whose backstory involves running away. The paint's a little more vibrant than I would expect, because she does have face paint, but this is like a really bright blue compared to, it should probably be a little bit darker.
Because if you look at her buckle, it has like glowing eyes too.
Yeah, that shouldn't be there. I don't know if they do this just because, is this just something fun to do? Like with, I don't know, Collector in the game too, right? Because Collector's blue, but...
I think they just wanted to make it with the, like, Ascended quality.
You know, that makes sense, right? Because that is an Ascended skin, so you want to spice it up a bit. I could totally see that. But I mean, again, like all the other Survivor skins, it looks fantastic. It just looks amazing. Got the bone armor, got the spine in the back, got the fur coat. The only thing that people dislike are the arms, as silly as it sounds. In Darkest Dungeon 1, Hellion is like one of the hardest hitting characters in the entire game, but she has, the joke is they call her Noodle Arm Hellion because she just has really tiny arms. And so in Darkest Dungeon 2, I'm assuming Chris noticed that too, but Hellion is buff as hell in the second game. Like she has just giant pythons for arms, you know? And they went back to the DD1 version, but I think that's more to match Meg than it is to belittle Hellion, but I just think that's funny. All right. And then you get the afflicted. Ooh, it's animated too. It's Ascended. This is like obviously this is the best one. And we make jokes about Highwayman being the favorite character. We call it dev bias. Flagellant's the real dev bias in both games. Red Hook was founded by two people, Chris Barassa, Tyler Sigmund. Hellion, I want to say is Tyler's favorite, or it's Plague Doctor, but he uses a Hellion picture on Discord, so I guess, you know, at the end they gave Hellion the full animated affliction spray, which looks awesome. All right, I guess we can like bust through the color swaps, right? You know, since we've gone through all the lore and all that, this can be a little quicker, but what do you think about this first one with Blight? I'm looking at the whole thing at the same time.
From what I can tell, they took all the metal and turned it into gold.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty cool, because that gives you more, it's called Deep Rift, I guess, but yeah, this gives you more of a live service impression, but it still looks good, right? Everything is a little more shiny, a little golden, and all that. In a way, I kind of like the gold handles or the gold guards on the swords here, because Ancestor is a rich dude, so this kind of looks more like what he'd stab someone with, as, you know, something that has actual gold. Okay, I'm gonna look at the next one with Highwayman. I hit show the entire set, but he's wearing jeans still, it looks like. Did he have jeans in the original skin?
Yeah,
he did? Okay. Looking at this, there is no skin in Darkest Dungeon that mirrors this exactly. Like, there's one in DD2 where he has like a yellow bandana, but he doesn't wear this color scheme. Like, this looks more like a modded character thing, and that's totally fine. Leper, they did good picking the red one. This is like the fan favorite for Leper. This is the, in Darkest Dungeon 2, I think it's his Monarch skin. It's pretty iconic, and out of the 4 color schemes Leper had in the first game, people would wear like the really bright white one with the gold armor, or they would wear this one. Like, this is the favorite one for most players, so I'm really glad that they brought it back. Plague Doctor. This is a skin that they gave her in Darkest Dungeon 2, like an outfit. This is the surgeon outfit, and the only thing that's missing is she has a giant bone saw knife in her hand. It's not like a small tool for incisions. It's literally like serrated, I believe, and she can, if you wanted to, she would just chop off a limb. But when this came out in Darkest Dungeon 2 as one of the skins, people loved it because it was so different. Like Plague Doctor's other skins are like just dark colors, like dark brown or red, and green, black. She has one that's like green and kind of like yellowish green. And in DD2 she has a purple one, but this is like off the wall. I'm trying to get to the next one. Oh, the collector one. You showed me part of this, I think, the green one. This is the one you were like cosplaying with, right? You were trying to put stuff together to make it look cool. Yeah, this one looks really nice too. Like, this is a good color swap here. The fire almost looks better on this one. I know it's the exact same, like in terms of animation, they just changed the colors, but this one has a little more depth of color. It's got like kind of, some yellow and some orange along with the green. So it kind of looks like actual creepy necro chemical fire. All right, Hellion. This is one of her. This is from Darkest Dungeon 1. She has a palette where she's got like all red and then like purple hair.
You might notice her blood paint, or like her paint is different.
Yeah, I just noticed that too. Like her face paint's different compared to the normal one. It's not just like the one side with like the big line. This is like, two kind of like straight down ones. This looks almost like fangs or something. I'm reading too much into it, but let's see. Next is another Blight one. Everything's a little more dark. Like the clothing is brighter, but the handle, like the cross guards and guards, whatever you want to call them, they look almost copper or bronze. All right, we got our second skin for Highwayman. This is, I want to say it's from DD1. Like, this isn't Sharp Shot from DD2, because that's kind of what it closest resembles. This is a DD1 palette, but looks great. Yellow and green. Nice combination, underutilized, even though they do kind of go together. Like, there is yellow-green as like a mixed hybrid color. All right, the next leper one is silver armor. He has this in both games, but again, just another faithful crossover. I just brought it in. It's styled nice. It looks nice. Let's see. The final Plague Doctor one. This is Physician from DD2. This is the purple outfit she has. All right, and we should get a Hellion one, right? Oh, and Collector.
The Collector one too.
Okay, this one's pretty funny. Sorry, I cannot stop thinking about Red Skull from Marvel now. This is just Hugo weaving.
But you might notice that we went with RGB for the Collector. Red, green, and blue.
Oh, true. Oh, yeah. That was pretty cool. All right, Collector, I see you. And this Hellion one, this is the one I was talking about. This is the other DD1 palette she has, where it's like all like just black and then like black hair. And yeah, this is that one. And again, the eyes are kind of a greenish teal this time to match the face paint. She goes back to the original face paint of just one thing. So I know it's a long video, but I appreciate it. You got any closing thoughts here? Because we are finally at the end of all of this.
Honestly, I didn't expect too much because my expectations were severely lowered from last year's, where it was just bad press after bad press for behavior.
Right.
Almost on cue, because I made a video defending them after the acquisition, and then they pull off like the worst year ever.
Yeah, I remember that.
And one thing that's worth noting, if you buy the Rift, which costs exactly 1,000 Auric cells, and you get to level 70, you get refunded all the Auric cells that you spent on that Rift. So you can either spend it on something else, or you can buy the Rift that comes out next in 62 days.
Right, yeah, this has 62 days remaining. I am sad I missed 2v8, but I do want to do something with Ranger and maybe some other DD streamers where, we do some survivors as DD characters. But 62 days, how long would it take, do you think? Or if someone played like a few hours a week, how long would it take to max this, to get to 70 at least?
I've been playing like barely anything, and the only thing I've been doing is like just opening the quest, because if you go back to the menu and you click quest, you'll see Rift Pass, and there's like some really like easy achievements or like quests like kill 2 survivors or escape 2 trials, escape 2 chases, blah blah blah, which can help you level up the Rift very quickly. And there's going to be like part 5, part 6, 7, etc. that open progressively in the next few days.
Okay.
So you can finish this Rift Pass in like legit, I think, like 2 weeks even.
If you try-harded but only played like, I don't know, 6-8 hours a week, you could do it in 2 weeks. So it's
I genuinely believe so, yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize too. There's a couple more things on the first set of the pass here, but you get the quirk emblem, which is cool. The Headhunter's Harvest. I can't quite see what that is. It looks like oh, it's a collector. It's collector's body. I like this badge for the Darkest Dungeon itself. Definitely would rock that. And then this another banner at the bottom, the Altar of Hope. Yeah, the Altar of Hope is from Darkest Dungeon 2. And I'm really sad I didn't watch during the Twitch drops thing, but you could also get a couple things from there. You could get the reanimated rabbit as a charm thingy, and there's something with Crusader, I think.
Considering I don't remember it, I don't think it was that good.
Okay. Like, those never come back, right? I'll never see the rabbit.
As far as I know, they don't come back now.
Boo!
Just another example of FOMO.
Yeah. Sadness. Alright. I'm gonna wrap it up here. Thanks, Ranger, for being here. Thanks for all the hard work. It's getting really late. And we've been at this for almost 3 hours, so... Thanks to Ranger. Thank you, the viewer, for watching. And... we'll see you next time, but do you have any closing remarks? I'll give you the final word.
Bazinga.
I hate you. I hate you more than you will ever know for doing that. Goodbye.